With more and more additional Stellaris content for PC players and even now console players becoming available, I think it's time to go back and take a good long look at MegaCorp expansion. I'm going to make an overview of all the content in this expansion and talk about its worth for both the player and the overall game. Originally, this content was released for the PC on the 6th of December 2018, while for the consoles the release date is January 26, 2021. The price tag is the standard $20 or euros depending on your region. Just like the other expansions which I covered in my previous videos, links are up here on the right and in the description below, MegaCorp has its own special focus, and that is corporate culture, meaning the rule of money and influence of power across borders and nations. This translates to several new ways in which playing with a strong economy can lead your civilization to victory, especially when coupled with some specific additions this DLC brings. Now I will go through the list of additions and gameplay elements and then take a closer look at each of them to see their worth for the player and the game as a whole. The most iconic addition is definitely the city world Monopolis, which is made possible through a new ascension perk called Archaeology Project. This addition finally lets Stellaris players cover an entire planet with a never-ending megacity akin to Coruscant from Star Wars. To populate such a world in a realistic time frame, you can use the galactic slave market, where you buy and sell population on an industrial scale and get to set them free or keep them as livestock. Now, to use this newfound powerhouse to its full effect, this expansion added a branch office building which you can construct on planets within empires with whom you have the trade agreements with. This lets you add a portion of that planet's trade value to your own network. To make all of these new interconnections between species and civilizations easier and a galactic megacorp manageable, you get to use two new ascension perks: Universal Transactions, which makes establishing commercial pacts and those branch offices I mentioned easier for the player, and the second ascension perk, Xenocompatibility, which allows crossbreeding between species. Because of course, where there is interplay between species and money to be made, there is also There are 3 new civics for you to use with this expansion: Byzantine Bureaucracy, Merchant Guilds, and Shared Burden. More on them later in the video. The last 2 additions are the big ones: Caravaner Fleets, the Nomadic Interstellar Wheelers and Dealers, and more megastructures, Matter Decompressor, the Interstellar Assembly, Mega Art Installation, and Strategic Command Center, including the ruined versions for you to discover in your own galaxy. Less noteworthy additions were the new voices for the Advisor, additional soundtracks, and new pre-scripted empires to use with the MegaCorp mechanics. My name is Peter, and if you're new to my channel, I want to welcome you and point you to some of my other videos about strategy games, which you can find on the playlist linked up here and in the description below. I make tutorials, guides, walkthroughs, and let's plays alongside a lot of other kinds of gaming videos. So what would be the defining feature of the MegaCorp expansion, and which of its elements enrich the game the most? Well, in my opinion, and from what I could read from the other players' experiences, it's the Megacorporation Empire type and resulting unique gameplay style. The thing is that in this game, economy management has always been the driving force, but never a true objective, just a means to an end. But with the gameplay style offered by running your stellar empire as a megacorporation, the rules change and the economy playstyle stops being a boring must-do step to something else and turns into a challenging main event with much higher stakes. The one downside to this kind of gameplay is that if you are any form of high mind, especially if you're using the benefits of the Synthetic Dawn and Utopia expansions, you lose a lot of the possibilities MegaCorp offers because of the opposite gameplay mechanics these civilizations are based on. So while the players get another way of playing, the game itself isn't that much richer for it, because of all the prerequisites and conflicting gameplay mechanics for the AI-controlled empires. The most direct way you experience the corporate culture gameplay with the expansion is by using the Corporate Authority, which sets your civilization up to be a megacorporation with additional administrative capacity but with higher empire sprawl penalty. This authority has its own civics and lets you specialize your corporation even further. The authority-specific building for megacorporations is the new branch offices. On the other hand, the 3 new civics add more of this kind of gameplay to non-corporate authority players. The Byzantine Bureaucracy Civic reduces housing amenities usage and allows for the construction of the bureaucratic complex building, which adds administrator jobs, and also of note is that bureaucrats produce unity and stability points. The Merchant Guild Civic adds a merchant job to the capital buildings, with new merchants providing unity bonuses, while the Shared Burden Civic is a bit of a hard pill to swallow since it turns the society into something akin to communism but it does add stability and unlocks communal housing and utopian communal housing buildings. The branch offices building requires commercial pacts with other civilizations, as only then can you build them on planets you do not own. You must pay influence and energy for them, scaled by the range to your nearest owned planet, while new building slots are unlocked at 25, 50, 75 and 100 population. You should note that the branch offices count towards your admin cap, which is lower than for normal empires, while the penalties for exceeding that cap are higher. The benefit is the additional resources in the form of energy you gain from these buildings, the exact quantity depending on your specific trade values. The fact that you have to have friends to trade with in the first place, and the specifics of the newest Civics, really points you in the direction that you need to guide your civilization towards to get the most out of the mega corporations. I find this to be an excellent way of giving the player a clear idea of how to play that specific game style, and prevents him from thinking, well, if this doesn't work, I can always just go to war with everybody and end each game the same way, reducing replayability. In this way, both the player and the game benefit immensely from this addition. But what gives this expansion its shining polish is the UK Monopolies, unlocked by the Archaeology Project Ascension perk. If you can afford to supply this planet, it can outproduce several planets of the same value with the sheer insane amount of alloys, consumer goods and unity points, and can hold a much higher capacity for population, making it a true seat of power for a majestic galactic megacorp. The reason why you have to support this planet is because once you cover the surface with city districts, you lose access to resources and then cannot build agriculture, generator or mining districts. Now you might be thinking that filling a Monopolis with population is a tall order, but if you use another element of this expansion, you can see that it can be done in half the time or less. Enter Slave Market. You can buy a slave even if your civilization doesn't allow owning slaves, because they are automatically freed and can just live out their lives working in your empire. It's a population you do not have to wait for several years to grow. And if your empire does allow slavery, then you do not have to spend resources in the market and can fill up this planet quite quickly. The two new essential perks play right into making your megacorp empire unique in the galaxy. The crossbreeding between species with xenocompatibility essential perk gives you that flavor of money and power transcends all boundaries and differences, with higher immigration pool and two other population specific bonuses, while universal transactions just makes it cheaper to establish branch offices and commercial pacts stop costing influence points to maintain them. As for the megastructures this expansion introduces, there are four I have already mentioned in the beginning of this video. The Strategic Coordination Center, which is a very costly site to develop because of the alloy necessary, but it returns that investment in the form of naval and star-based capacity, defense platforms, and a bonus to sublight speed. Considering megacorp civilizations aren't that big on fleets, this is a megastructure you will want to have with a different, more warmongering space empire. The Interstellar Assembly, on the other hand, is meant for quite the opposite game style, with its bonuses for diplomatic weight, positive opinion from all the empires, and extra envoys. It can significantly make an easier gameplay with an economically based civilization. The matter decompressor is the one megastructure your empire's mineral production can be almost entirely reliant on, as long as you have the black hole for it. Last but not least, the Mega Art Installation megastructure is all about gaining more unity points and bonuses to amenities. Its last, fourth stage, however, is not available to empires with xenophobic ethics and requires Ancient Relics DLC to be installed, because materials used for this stage are not alloys, but rather minor artifacts. I have left the Caravaner fleets for last, as they entail quite a few elements which enrich the game, but not gameplay, at least in my opinion. These nomadic space tribes will give you unique offers from their vast inventories in exchange for a variety of resources, and also offer games of chance in their home system with a real intergalactic casino. The Caravanners use a unique resource called Caravan Coins, which can be brought in bulk with energy crates. These can be used to either play slots or open a reliquary which restocks every 500 days. This is all really just a really elaborate joke at loot boxes and game gambling mechanics the industry has been flooded with lately. Depending on your views and mood at the time of playing it, it will either make you laugh or just plain annoyed. The Caravanners start in their unique system called Shore's Compass, which contains the Caravaner Citadel and 2 out of the 3 Caravaner fleets, Racket Industrial Enterprise, the New Mystic Order, and the Vengrelian Triumph. These fleets roam the galaxy, traveling towards every empire to offer deals that can be accepted immediately, delayed to when the fleet is leaving space, or rejected outright. These fleets cannot be contacted in any other way, and all attempts will redirect to Shore's Compass instead. Delaying these trades has a very low chance of the offered deal changing. If an empire has a colony within 3 hyperline jumps of the Caravaner Citadel, each year there will be a very low chance of the empire being called on by the collector and offered a mysterious box for 3000 energy credits. If bought, it will grant one type of resource or a capital world modifier. As I said, a lot of the elements and mechanics, but nothing really that exciting. Overall, the MegaCorp expansion does its main purpose of giving players more ways to play the best, while it does little to spice up the gameplay beyond that. If you are the kind of player who can enjoy the main style of gameplay a MegaCorporation entails, then this is most definitely an expansion tailored to make you entertained and coming back for more. While if managing the economy and the diplomatic relations with other civilizations was already a chore for you, then beyond the uniqueness of the Caravaner fleets, some new Civics, and the bonuses the Strategic Command Center offers, you won't get much use out of it. There are more DLCs for Stellaris I have yet to cover, like Synthetic Dawn and Necroids. So if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button below and join me next time to analyze where they verted. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all happy gaming.